Happy holidays, everyone. Yeah, I don't believe I said that. That's the gangway. I now know I have you all, and so you need to know that this boat is inspected by the Coast Guard regularly. Part of that inspection includes life jackets. The life jackets on this boat are kept under the stairs. Wherever you see a staircase, there is likely a door giving you access under those stairs, which are filled with life jackets. In the event, please follow the instructions of the crew. We've been doing this for 77 years. So far, so good. It's a calm ride. If you have concerns of movement, you shouldn't. As we back out into the Hudson, you will hear, you'll hear one long horn blast, followed by 3 short ones, announcing our entering the river. And once we get out there, if you want to get out here, you can do that. It's entirely up to you. I don't blame you if you don't go, that's for sure. Although it's warmer than it was a couple of days ago, it was 7 degrees. George Washington Bridge. It's been there since 1931. In 1931, it was the longest suspension bridge in the world when it was finished. And as we speak, it is the busiest bridge in the world in terms of motor vehicles. There are 2 levels, 16 lanes, and over 300,000 motor vehicles cross that bridge every day. That bridge is part of an interstate highway called I-95, which runs from Miami, Florida, to the Canadian border in Maine. So a lot of that busyness is interstate, and a lot of it's commuter traffic. Recording Point. It is an office building. It's the tallest building in the world from 1931 to 1973. 42 years. It is the oldest of the 5 observation venues on Manhattan Island. 102 stories, 102 floors, observation decks of 86 and 102. The higher you go, the more you pay. I hope you can find satisfaction on 86. You should, really. It's outdoors and indoors. 102 is strictly indoors. Do you have this? You have this band? Oh, you're the same guy sitting here? Sorry. Okay, yeah, no, I remember. But I can't remember everybody, okay? So, that's one of 5 observation venues. We will, and what? Is it cold? Is it a bad spot for you? Did you like it? Okay. The second observation venue isn't far away. It's coming up on your left. And, okay, you see this strange looking sculptural thing here? Just like a centerpiece. It is a centerpiece, really. It's called Vessel. It is an observation venue of a diminutive scale, but that's not really what I'm working toward. The building to the left of it, the tallest building in the grouping on your left, called Hudson Yards, that's the name of this development. The tallest building there is 30 Hudson Yards, and sticking out to the right of the building, toward the top of the building, is a platform. You might be able to see it already, Dave. That is called Edge, E-D-G-E. I was up there a couple of years ago, early on. Loved it. Part of that platform has a glass deck. You can step out onto that glass and promptly freak out. A great venue. Hudson Yards is still developing, as you can see. There's really not much room left, but nevertheless, they squeeze them in. You know how it is here. That real estate is valuable. The neighborhood we left is called Hell's Kitchen. That's not very complimentary. That goes back to a time when it was a dangerous place to be. And it is no longer dangerous. But the name kind of stuck. Although they're trying to get away from it, calling it London. The neighborhood on your left is already changed. It's called Chelsea. Chelsea. Named after an estate owned by Clement Clark Moore. You know who that is? Clement Clark Moore was the fellow who wrote "Was the Night Before Christmas." He basically owned this neighborhood 200 years ago, and he's long gone, of course, but the poem lives on, and so is the neighborhood. The building on your left that looks like red brick, immediate left, red brick, that is a residential building. Unremarkable, except for the fact that if you own a car and you live in that building, you can bring your car upstairs with you. I have lived on the Upper West Side 47 years, the exact same place. I have not owned a car for 47 years, much less an elevator to bring it up. So that's something new. If you live on Manhattan Island, you are less likely to own a car than probably anywhere else. Certainly the outer boroughs. If you live in the outer boroughs, you're more likely to own a car. Manhattan Island, unlikely. those of you standing by the window, excuse me, by the, oh, they're taking pictures, okay, I'll let them go. This firefighting boat on your left, state of the art, its name and number, the 343. File that away for a second. The 343, file that away. Village coming up on your left. If you've already been to Greenwich Village, you've been lost. If you're planning on going there, you will be lost. Greenwich Village is a maze of streets. It's confusing. It is also charming. It is also very safe. Wonderful place to be lost. Greenwich Village predates the grid plan of the The grid plan is what made most of Manhattan, as you see it. Very logical, numerical, rectangular, easy to find your way around. Greenwich Village, as I said, predates that plan, so it is confusing. But, as I said, charming. Just a little up ahead, also on your left, you can see some industrial-looking buildings. That is Soho, just a little bit ahead. Soho stands for south of Houston Street. Houston is the correct pronunciation. It looks like Houston to many people. It isn't. That's a different guy, a different story. If you say Houston, you are out of town. Houston is correct, and you may need to know that, because when you go to Kansas Delicatessen, which is at Houston and Ludlow Streets, if you tell the taxi driver Houston, you may be passing the Statue of Liberty a couple times. I'm joking, but you are marked out of town. Kansas Delicatessen, best pastrami on the planet. You have doubts about them? Pardon me? Kansas. K-A-T-Z''S. Houston and Ludlow. A sandwich is 27 bucks these days. It's getting, I don't know, that sounds kind of high to me. But I guarantee you this, it'll be the best you ever had. Really it will. I mean, this is like psychedelic pastrami. And then, yeah, right. That's a good idea, though. Coming up on both sides of the river, sticking out into the river, are these tan brick monolithic structures. Most New Yorkers don't know what they are, but you're about to know. They are the ventilation systems for the oldest of the vehicular tunnels connecting Manhattan Island. That tunnel is called, what's my plank? The Holland Tunnel. I was thinking ahead, because one could think it's named after the country, because the Dutch were here for generations, but it's actually named after the chief engineer, whose full name is the tunnel that's out onto Canal Street on the Manhattan side. So, on your immediate left, the neighborhood here is called Trifecta. That stands for Triangle Reload Canal Street. Robert De Niro lives here. De Niro and I went to the same high school. He dropped out, I graduated. That was the High School of Music and Art in those days. Looking up ahead, the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere, with the spire, which counts, it is 1,776 feet, commemorative for U.S. independence in 1776. In meters, it is 541 meters. If you go up into this building And you can, because it is an observation venue. The third I mentioned, if you walk toward the southern exposure and look down, you will see two identical reflecting pools. Those are the exact footprints of the twin towers that are no longer. They are also the 9/11 memorial. Almost 3,000 names are memorialized there. Among them, 343 firemen. Remember the firefighting code, the 343? 343 firemen did not come home that day. This entire area on your left is called the financial district. Do me a favor, ma'am. Hello? Can you get away from the window? They need to see. Thank you. Thank you. You have a wristband? You like the cold? If you like the cold, you go down out to the mountain. It'll be a little cold out there. Wall Street is in there. You can't see it from here. When we go up the eastern edge, you will see it. But for now, let me point out the building on your left, which has an elongated green pointed copper top. That is 40 Wall Street. I have heard Donald Trump say, I own the tallest building on Wall Street. And he's right. He bought that building in the 1990s, and it is the tallest building on Wall Street. But I have never heard him say, and I wonder if he even knows, that building, 40 Wall Street, was the tallest building in the world for several hours. Back in 1930, the Chrysler Building and 40 Wall Street were going up simultaneously. The architect of the Chrysler Building was slick. He hid the spire of the Chrysler Building in the hollow of the building and waited. This fellow topped off. Hours later, the spire of the Chrysler Building got hoisted up into place, bolted, surpassing 40 Wall Street by over 100 feet. There was no coming back. The Chrysler Building would then be the tallest building in the world for the next 8 months until the Empire State Building was finished in 1931. The southern tip of Manhattan Island, coming up on your left. The skyline emerging in the distance on your left is Brooklyn. We're going out into the upper New York Bay. Do these people have excuse me, photographer? Photographer? You have wristbands, right? You have this. Huh? That's it. roots to Ellis Island. My father came through here in 1922. He was 12 years old from Poland. The only people processed on Ellis Island were third-class passengers. If you had enough money for a first or a second-class steamship ticket, you did not go to Ellis Island. Only third-class passengers. The U.S. government, you got over the pier. That's right. If you were third class, they put you in another boat and brought you here. You have a wristband. You have this. You have this. Exactly. Go down. Down. The U.S. government wanted to know that if you were poor, if you were a third-class passenger, you were able to work. At this point, I asked, how long did it take to build the Empire State Building? Anybody know? Anybody want to venture a guess? Oh boy, I got some gamers. How long? Somebody want to toss out a number? 5 years. 5 months. Did you say 5 months? It was 13 and a half months. You were close. 13 and a half months. So we passed Ellis Island. The statue is coming up. The real name of the statue, by the way, is Liberty Enlightening the World. You can go down this way, or back there. You can even go up to the third deck if you want to. You'll see it. When you go out there, you'll see it. Liberty enlightening the world. I hope you notice that the statue is conceptually moving forward. She's not just standing there. The heel of her right foot is off the ground. The flame, the golden flame, is being blown back. Her ankles have just broken the chains of bondage. And she is conceptually moving forward. She is not just standing there. That is important. She is made of copper, a very high grade copper. There are 310 copper plates, a thickness of 2 pennies that have each been hammered into shape and attached to a structure inside designed by Gustav Eiffel prior to the Eiffel Tower. The sculptor was also French. His name, Frederic Auguste Bartholdi. Did you thank me for that? Did you thank me for that? You want me to leave you out there next time?
Oh, she's happy.
Excuse me. Sorry.
The French contributed toward the statue. Americans contributed toward the pedestal, unveiled here October 28, 1886. And it was a big deal. Still is. La liberté éclairant le monde. Good thing it warmed up, huh? I'm having fun with it. Good thing it got warmer. In the left arm is a tablet. And on that tablet it says July 4th, 1776. Independence Day, the date of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Declaring our independence from England forever. So, we're headed across the upper New York Bay. We're going to be aiming for the eastern edge of Manhattan Island. We're going up what's called the East River. The first bridge we'll be going under is the Brooklyn Bridge. The Brooklyn Bridge was finished after 13 years of construction in 1883. It was the longest suspension bridge in the world by far when it was finished at that time. People were afraid to walk on it. There were rumors of the bridge's instability. This spring, the bridge will be 140 years old. Also in those days, the Brooklyn Bridge connected two cities, the city of Brooklyn and the city of New York. They were two separate cities until 1898. When Brooklyn voted to become part of the city of Greater New York. Ready? To come in here, you need a wristband. Just like, you go up there. You have time. You have time. The skyline on your left is Jersey City, New Jersey. The skyline in the middle, of course, is Manhattan. And the skyline on the right is Brooklyn. That very long suspension bridge off to your right is called the Verrazzano Narrows Bridge, connecting Staten Island on the right and Brooklyn on the left. Staten Island is our least populated borough, 500,000 people there, and Brooklyn is our most populated borough, about 2.5 million people. Population of Manhattan, 1.7 million people. Manhattan is the smallest of the 5 boroughs that make up the city of New York. The smallest in land mass. 13 miles long, about 20 kilometers. 2 miles wide, about 3 kilometers. Coming up ahead on your left is the big orange Staten Island Ferry. The Staten Island Ferry runs from here across the bay to Staten Island, takes a half hour, and it runs 24/7, perpetually, and it is perpetually free, no charge. There's a building on your left that is yellow and black. I thought this building was under construction for the longest time because of the yellow. I found out it is a residential building called the William Beaver House. It's at the intersection of William and Beaver Streets.
Excuse me.
And the fellow who financed that building was at one time a New York City taxi driver who did very well. An immigrant from the Republic of Georgia, one of the former Soviet republics. And there it is, yellow and black. 56 Beaver Street. The downtown heliport coming up on your left. This is where our presidents come and go. They have touring helicopters here too. They're over $200 per person for a minimal 15-minute tour. 15. Yeah. I would take that money and put it into the 5 venues. Because it'll cost the same thing. Flush your sink. Did you do that in a helicopter? So did I. It was. I really wanted a fixed wing plane, and they called me at the last minute because I prefer something that glides. So they called me at the last minute saying the plane was unavailable and they'll give me a break on the helicopter, which they did. I took it. My wife freaked out. I was pretty good, but coming back, she fell asleep. She fell asleep on my shoulder. That's how relaxed she was. I had to even poke her for whatever this cost. You're sleeping. No way. I kept her away. Wall Street's coming up on your left. You see this? You see this white vehicle going up? Right there. That's Wall Street. If you look up Wall Street, you'll see Trinity Church. Don't blink. Don't blink. Look up Wall Street. It's made of brownstone. Right there. Trinity Church would have been Anglican, except for the fact that we won the revolution. It is Episcopal. Alexander Hamilton and his wife are buried there. George Washington was inaugurated on Wall Street back in 1789. It was April in those days. This building on your left that twists up, that is not your imagination. That is called 8th Spruce Street, and it's really mixed use. A lot of it's residential. The work of a Canadian-American, Frank Gehry, architect. The building with the gold statue on top is a municipal building. That building goes back to 1914, containing New York City governmental agencies. And the Brooklyn Bridge. The Brooklyn Bridge took 13 years to build, finished by a woman. Her name was Emily Roebling. She was the wife of the chief engineer, a fellow by the name of Washington Roebling, who got very sick from something called decompression sickness, also known as the bends, also known as Poisson disease. Emily stepped up and finished the bridge. Looks pretty good for 140. A lot of people walk the bridge for fun. If you're thinking about doing that, the days will be getting warmer, you know that, right? So maybe in a couple of days, it'll be more palatable. But in any case, what I recommend is take the subway to Brooklyn and walk back over the bridge. The 2 and the 3 trains stop at Clark Street, and if the weather is good, walk through lovely Brooklyn Heights, one of the loveliest neighborhoods in New York. Get onto the bridge and walk in. The bridge coming up ahead is the Manhattan Bridge, another suspension bridge, built in 1909. This one takes subways. Subways did not exist at the time of the bridge. The date for the subways is generally given as 1904. Today, there are 472 subway stations. It is a 24/7 system. It does frequent. bridges were built not to bring people into Manhattan, but to take them away. People living in old tenements here had similar aspirations, one of which was to get out of there. And they did. They took the bridges, they moved to the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, apartments and homes that they couldn't have dreamed of in the countries that they came from. And they had basically arrived. If you want to experience that, there's a place called the Tenement Museum on Orchard Street on the Lower East Side. You can get a tour of an old tenement house, an old tenement building, showing you how they lived, where they lived, in many cases who they were, and it's pretty amazing. A lot of people got their start there. And many of them, of course, as I said, immigrants, and coming over to Ellis Island, basically with nothing. A lot of the Eastern Europeans brought their pillows. That was the thing Eastern Europeans did. They still do that. The bridge up ahead is another suspension bridge called the Williamsburg Bridge, 1903, named after the neighborhood in Brooklyn to which it goes, Williamsburg, Brooklyn. The most famous steakhouse in New York is Peter Luger's, and they are in Williamsburg. If you go there, bring a lot of cash. They do not take credit cards unless it's their own. I personally go to a place called Smith & Wollensky that is on the east side of Manhattan. I am perfectly satisfied there, and I do not go to Brooklyn unless forced. You can see the UN. You asked about the UN, didn't you? Can you see it up there? It's got a long white sign. Sure. Brooklyn on your right, Manhattan on your left. Queens is up ahead, also on your right. But we're not going to get that far. We're going to be turning at about 14th Street. A little short of Queens. Queens is the biggest of the boroughs in landmass. Both airports are there. And about 2.34 million people. They say half of Queens speaks a language other than English at home. Half of the borough. We might get a little rock on this. You see he slowed down. He may be turning into the lake. We may get a little bit of a rock on this. You got me looking, I don't know. Lot of public housing on your left here. Over 600,000 people live in public housing in New York City. Jay-Z came out of public housing in Brooklyn. He no longer qualifies. And coming out of the Bronx, if you're American, you know Sonia Sotomayor. She is sitting on the Supreme Court of the United States, coming out of public housing in the Bronx. And there are lots of other success stories like that. Lots of other success stories. You're old, Rosie. Building up ahead on your left with the gold cupola is the old Metropolitan Life Insurance building that was converted into a hotel. It's at 23rd Street and Madison Avenue. That was the tallest building in the world from 1909 to 1913. The address of that building is on Madison Avenue. Swinging to the right a bit is a building with a broader gold top. That is thanks for tempting me. I can't wait. Nice breeze out there, she said. The Empire State Building, now seen from the east side. If you're blocking windows anywhere, downstairs, upstairs, please, please do not block the views of the people sitting. That just destroys the whole purpose, okay? Please be considerate of the people behind you. Thank you. That's Queens up ahead. Those high rises, that complex. It's not a complex, it's really a bunch of residential buildings for the most part. That neighborhood in Queens is called Long Island City. As we turn, you'll see a building close to the river on the Manhattan side with a long white side. That is Vermont Marble. And the building is the Secretariat Building of the United Nations. It's been in operation there since 1952. The only reason the UN is here at all is because John D. Rockefeller Jr. wanted it here. He bought the property and gave it to the United Nations. That's how they wound up here to begin with. Made them an offer they couldn't refuse. The building cut at a 45-degree angle is the Citigroup building, basically a bank. To the left of it, residential building called 432 Park Avenue. Rising to a pinnacle, just to the right of the MetLife building, is the Chrysler building. I mentioned it earlier, tallest building in the world, 1930. To the left of it is One Vanderbilt. That's the one with the white spire up on top. That is also where you can find Summit, observation venue. And back to the Empire State Building. Okay, we turn. We're heading back down the East River. Manhattan is now on your right, Brooklyn on your left. with the unconditional surrender was signed by Japan. That was also the flagship of Admiral Bullard. Also built here many years earlier, USS Arizona, also a battleship, where where it sits today on the bottom of Pearl Harbor. I've never been to Hawaii. Sometimes you can get a better place. I saw this building go up. It's called Wonderhouse Square. You see these buildings that just don't fit in? I mentioned the building with the gold statue. The name of the statue on top of the municipal building is called City Fame. The model for that statue was the super model of her day, a woman by the name of Audrey Munson, 25 years ago. She lived to the age of 104, and she is all over town. Audrey is used so many places, I couldn't count them. As I said, Brooklyn Bridge overhead, coming out, the One World Trade Center, of course. The building coming out from behind 8th Spruce Street. 8th Spruce Street is the building that twists up on your right. To the left of it is a building with a tall copper frame. That is the famous Woolworth building. The tallest building in the world from 1913 to 1930. Frank Woolworth, the 5 and dime store guy, paid cash for that. That's the one behind us now, with the pointed green copper top. Getting lost in the crowd. These old ships belong to the South Street Seaport Museum. Tall masted ships like this used to be called skyscrapers. Somewhere along the route, that term got applied to buildings. Wall Street on your right once again. The New York Stock Exchange is right down this block. Well, not this block, but a block from actually 1 block from the church is 11 Wall Street, the home of the New York Stock Exchange. The big boy. Yeah. If you want to fly a helicopter, love it. There's another town in Brooklyn called Harlem. So the Dutch were here for 2 generations, and they haven't left their mark for sure. In fact, the last Dutch person there, he is entombed in a church called St. Mark's on Lower East Side. Here's Simon Simpson. He was the last Dutch governor of the British state and took it from the Dutch. He actually wanted to fight for it. He already had the view on your right.